I was remembering the last time I was actually in this room. I was carried out after spraining my ankle playing basketball 23 years ago. So I'm hoping tonight goes just a little bit better. But it's a real honor to speak in front of such an esteemed audience. You've asked me, obviously, to speak of scholarship. And in thinking about this, obviously, scholarship does not exist in a vacuum. As one of our presidents once says, it takes a village. All right, she's not president. It's a little chance there. But scholarship to me really is about a shared community, and throughout my life it's been that way. If it weren't for this shared community and for scholarships that I received in high school, college, and medical school, and through my training, I probably would not be sitting here or standing here tonight, and I bet a lot of you wouldn't be sitting here tonight as medical students and doctors. It's that George Bailey phenomena in A Wonderful Life, for those of you who remember that. Maybe the medical students don't. But fortunately, we'll never have to find that out because we don't live in Pottersville. We're at Weill Cornell. We've created, we'll continue a strong shared community in the belief in scholarship. This shared community is really sitting right before me, and it's around Weill Cornell. It helped maintain the great institution in our scholarly traditions. Looking out, I see donors, I see patients that are donors, development folks, administration, staff from WC, my own mentors. Several of you are out there tonight, thank you. And our greatest future asset, and that is the scholars. All play a vital role in the community of scholarship. Collectively, there are centuries and centuries of scholarship in this room, old, present, and future in this room. A few words I was asked to speak about why scholarship is near and dear in my heart. Well, I'll say it again. I wouldn't be here, probably wouldn't be a doctor if it weren't for scholarship. I grew up in rural America. We were poor, big Irish family, not enough money for higher education, and too much for aid. My family was blue. The rest of the families were red, politically speaking. I was gay. I was bullied. And aside from family and a few friends, there wasn't a whole lot of inspiration to go on and do some of the things I've done. But like many in this room, I had some brains, some dreams, determination, so-so looks. That got it better than Hillary. Come on. I'm going to tell her that. But most importantly, I began to experience the outside world of do-gooders and those who believed in the power of scholarship. A shared community formed on lesser level in the little town where I grew up, but helped me and a few others move on to bigger and better things. The monies of scholarship became a necessity for me, probably like many of you in this room. By high school, I was ready to embark on my lifelong dream since the age of 4 to go into pre-med and become a doctor. And there was one day I was speaking with my guidance counselor, use that term loosely, in 9th grade, and she said, you know, you shouldn't aim so high. Maybe you should consider a 2-year trade school. She said, that's where people like me went. I don't really know what that still means to this day, but for the finance people in the world, in the room rather, I'm pretty sure she wasn't referring to Wall Street trade. But even then, a handful of donors stepped into my life and helped me, not just financially, but gave me support, trust, and hope in my future, people who barely knew me. And so, yes, I had some dreams as a kid, 3, one of which is rather humorous. The first was to be a doctor since the age of 4. My mom said it was the first words out of my mouth. I'm not sure if that's true. I wanted to be a GP. I wanted to be in New York City, this is all true, on Park Avenue, and at NYU, Cornell. The last part true is a joke. The second dream, and not sure again how this came about growing up in a little town, but I wanted to work in third world countries. Wanted to see what the rest of the world lived like. I saw it in pictures and encyclopedias then, didn't have Google. But I had so many expenses and things to overcome that was going to be far off for me to do. But it was important to me because I knew, despite how hard I had it, 99% of the world had it a lot harder. The third, which I spoke briefly about before, I wanted to be in the NBA. So 2 out of the 3 ain't bad. So I want to highlight one specific scholarship during my med school years in DC that changed my life and those around me forever. Began the building of my own community around scholarship. I had to work an extra job as a waiter, caterer, failed model. It's the only way I could live. I had scholarships and other things, but for those of you who don't know, between first and second year of medical school, you have about 3 months off. It's sort of your last time for your last hurrah to do sort of something fun or something different. And me and a couple friends wanted to go to India. And this was going to be part of my fulfillment of that dream. But I didn't have any money. And I'm not sure exactly how this happened when I was in DC, but out of somewhere came the family of a fellow by the name of Robert Keith Cole, and they had a scholarship for the first year was going to be awarded to me. It would allow me enough money to spend 3 months in India working in leprosy colonies and working with the poorest of the poor. This was a transformative experience. It would not have been possible without scholarship. Now, I never knew Rob Cole. I've heard much about him, and there's been 25 Rob Cole scholars since me. He would likely be standing here or a place like this, I suspect, probably much more important than me. But he was a med student a few years before me at GW, and he too wanted to spend time in the third world. He spent his whole summer in Africa between first and second year. Unfortunately, his plane had a crash on the way back, and he died instantly. So here was a bright future for a doctor, community builder, a do-gooder, a future scholarship maker. It was gone in an instant. But I promised the family I would try to pay back as he did for me. It's hard to put into words what this family did for me, what this scholarship felt like, well, how it still feels. It forever changed the education of me as a doctor, as a human, and a humanitarian. Dean Choi spoke of my charity work in India and Nepal. I mention this not as a bragging right, but to display how one gift of scholarship motivated me to build 3 charity hospitals in India and Nepal, deliver care to over 350,000 indigent patients over 20 years, build schools, women's centers, empower women and children. And I've sent hundreds of volunteers, students, med students, doctors, to go and see just what's going on in the third world and most of the world. Between 2 years, as Dr. Dean Choi mentioned, 42 Barley scholars, mostly to third world countries. I've asked them to try to experience that before they become a doctor if possible. So when grateful patients offer support to this great institution and ask where it should be invested, it's a no-brainer for me. Anything that enriches the lives of the med students via scholarship, that helps our shared community of doing good in the world, particularly when things on this planet seem a mess, makes us grow a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and our community is a little bit brighter. When medical students, particularly my scholars or any scholars in the room sitting here, ask how they can repay and thank the donors, many of which are in this room tonight, my simple answer is thank them. But on a greater level, our hope is collectively that you all succeed, follow your dreams, never forget scholarship, and pay it forward. Thank you, and I salute you.